This is just a quick video. I apologize for the overhead noise. Those are the guinea fowls outside of my door. They're always making noise in the morning. But I wanted to give a quick overview of fact versus opinion and objective versus subjective claims, because I think there's still some confusion as to how these things work. Okay, first of all, let's talk about the dichotomy of fact versus opinion. Facts are demonstrable pieces of evidence. So what I've said here is like the laws of physics, or what the stock market returns were for Kroger in 2013. Facts can be claims, but not all claims are facts. So when you make a claim, you then have to assess its fact value. A fact itself is the tangible proof. So for example, 2 plus 2 equals 4 would be like a fact. But more people prefer Listerine mouthwash to Scope is an objective statement because we can assess whether or not it is a fact. If we then do the research and it turns out that that is true, that has been supported by numerous studies, then it becomes something of an operational fact, which isn't exactly a fact like 2 plus 2 equals 4, because it can always be criticized and rethought, but it's operational fact, which means that for now we can assume it operates like a fact for the purposes of discussion. It's the best evidence we have right now. So becoming a fact is the goal of an objective statement, but an objective statement itself does not necessarily have its fact value proven. So you can make the objective statement, it could be completely false, but you're still making a statement that can be assessed objectively as fact or fiction. Opinions, I think opinion is one of the sloppiest words that we tend to use, and particularly as good Americans, we have to be careful because we are, as I've put here, natural Democrats. We're raised in a culture where it's very much, because of our political system, because of our free market background, because of our sort of social equality in a lot of ways, we really are kind of raised with this indoctrination of one person, one vote. It's a great way to decide whether or not we should have a new tax. It's not necessarily a great way to decide if global warming is real. It's not necessarily a great way to decide if ice caps are melting. It's not a great way to decide if evolution is true, right? Many of the best theories in the world, in fact, most theories that we live by extension of the fact that they are theories and not laws, are technically opinions. But that doesn't, being an opinion doesn't dismiss something as a weak argument. It just means it's not absolutely measurable and verifiable in every single instance the way that 2 plus 2 equals 4 is. So opinions, and we'll look more at this, opinions are the basis of inductive argumentation. So an opinion is like a conclusion, right? A conclusion, most conclusions are opinions. If you think of the 4 cases we just looked at, none of them really were fact. They had facts in them. There were certain facts that supported the conclusion. But the conclusion itself was oftentimes merely a claim. So the claim then has to be substantiated, and if it is substantiated by good reasoning or good facts, so deductive or inductive proofs, premises, then we say the opinion is a strong opinion or even a very strong opinion, or we can say it's a weak or very weak opinion. So one thing that's even a little bit mind-blowing about the word opinion is when we come to realize that something like the existence of the physical world is something of an opinion according to metaphysics. It's a fact in physics, but in metaphysics, which breaks down below the atomic level to subatomic particles, we find that actually the existence and stability of the material world is very much in question and might be largely the result of um, certain viewpoints, certain perspectives. And this may sound crazy, and most people wouldn't carry the analogy too far, but I just want to point out how deeply the need we have is for opinions, for strong opinions, and for researching our opinions. I guess the overall objective that I'm trying to accomplish here is that particularly with Americans, I live abroad, so I'm exposed to a different way of thinking sometimes. But as Americans, one of our weakest points in the way that we think and the way that we speak and the way that we relate to one another is that we tend to view that because one person equals one vote, your opinion, my opinion, Neil deGrasse Tyson's opinion, Stephen Hawking's opinion are all equal on every subject. And that's just kind of that kind of perspectivism, or that in the eye of the beholder mentality, can really get in our way sometimes of understanding that not all opinions are equally valid, are equally strong or equally weak. Shouldn't say valid. People who believe in flat Earth theories, and they are out there, by the way. They are out there. People who believe in flat Earth theories do not have as strong of an opinion or as strong of credentials as, let's say, the entire space program and aeronautical industry. The people who built the B-2 bomber seem more credible in talking about, rotation of the Earth and gravitational pull than people sitting in their mother's basements telling you that the Earth is like a plate and the sun revolves around us. So, we need to get past this notion of sort of saying like facts are truth and facts are good and facts are what we need, and opinions are just what you think when you're journaling about your feelings, and who cares about that, right? Most things that are meaningful are ultimately opinions that are simply supported well or not very well supported. So that strong versus weak dichotomy is the language we really need to use for opinions, rather than just thinking that anytime someone has an opinion, it may as well have come from a babbling 4-year-old, right? And that would just be one 4-year-old, one 36-year-old physicist. They have an equal opinion if it's not an absolutely demonstrable fact, of natural sciences. Now, objective versus subjective is a bit different. Objective statements, I don't want to over belabor this because I think that I covered this in factuality. Objective statements are not yet necessarily true or false. What they are is a claim that can be objectively assessed for its truth value. So if somebody says something like 30% of dentists think that Crest is the best toothpaste to prevent cavities, right here, that is an objective claim. Now, if I said this in an argument to support one of my opinions, that you should use Crest, let's say that's the ultimate opinion. If I'm using this, what I've said here is just made up, right? I have no idea how many dentists like Crest. But if I say it like this, 32% of dentists say that Crest is the best toothpaste to prevent cavities, that can actually be assessed, right? You can go look at whether or not that study has been conducted. That's the first thing, right? If it's never been conducted, I'm just making things up. So it's a very, it's an unfalsifiable statement. It doesn't mean anything yet. If I can cite that research, if that study has actually been done, if those numbers are actually supported somewhere, then it has a stronger fact basis. Again, though, factuality or objectivity is different. Objectivity is simply whether or not something can be assessed as factual, whether or not something can be established on solid ground. Subjectivity is not opinion, and I think this is a big difference. Subjectivity is not an opinion necessarily; it is opinionated. But a subjective statement or a subjective claim is not, we shouldn't use it exactly as a synonym for opinion. An opinion is a viewpoint, okay? A subjective statement is a claim that is true or false depending on the person making the statement. So it's not actually an opinion. Think of chocolate is better than vanilla. We tend to say, that's your opinion. Well, not exactly. That is your reality. Yeah, if you really believe that chocolate ice cream is better than vanilla ice cream, or chocolate candy bars are better than vanilla candy bars, if you believe that chocolate flavoring is always superior to vanilla, you are absolutely correct. That is your perspective. Now, it has absolutely no truth value to anyone else other than to know what your view is. Now, I know you're thinking like, but it's the person's opinion. Sure, but there's a difference, you see, between an opinion, like taking a viewpoint, okay, and trying to support it. That's an opinion in argumentation. So it is my opinion that lowering taxes is good for business growth, right? That's an opinion. It's a viewpoint that I have. But it can be supported by objective statements. I can never prove it necessarily beyond a shadow of a doubt. But I think that I can make a stronger case for that than the case that can be made against it. On the other hand, chocolate is better than vanilla has no objective value. It is strictly true or false depending on the feelings of the person. So a lot of times when we say something is an opinion, we really mean it's a subjective claim, more precisely. When we use, and my biggest issue here is I really want us to nail this technical language. And you will, actually it really helps you because you sound more educated if you can really nail this technical terminology. When we call something that is actually a subjective statement an opinion, we kind of demean the potential of the word opinion. Yes, some opinions are subjective statements, but we also want to have an opinion, or we want to be able to use the word opinion in a stronger sense, in the sense of a claim that I am making, or a view that I am taking, or a position that I hold. In other words, an opinion is an argument of sorts. An opinion can also, so when we use opinion to just mean like a subjective statement, I think I'm in love kind of thing, we're not being inaccurate. I mean, that is one version, that is one dictionary use of opinion. But I think that when we use it in a course about argumentation, or to approach a claim that someone has made, earnestly trying to take a viewpoint, I think that we've actually demeaned the word opinion, and we've kind of dismissed that statement as useless. Like, oh, that's just you. I could say the opposite, so who cares what you said? That's just chocolate is better than vanilla talk. And sometimes it's a bit more supportable than that. So I really want us to move more towards the use of subjective statement to talk about when someone has said something that really has no useful truth value other than just to count them on a survey. Whereas I want us to use opinion more in the sense of a viewpoint or position or an argument that one is making. Okay, so I hope that clarifies, and moving forward, I hope that we can use these terms with a little bit more precision, at least as far as the class goes.